Today on Waiting for the Encore, my guest is Tomar Williams. Tomar is the lead singer of Tomar and the FCs, an explosive soul outfit from Austin, Texas. He has a lifetime-long resume of performing professionally, including playing juke joints and the Chitlin circuit as a child. He's generous, he's gracious, he's humble, and he's a killer on the stage. So please enjoy my chat with Tomar Williams.
Tomar Williams, thank you so much for being here with me. How are you?
Doing good, man. How you doing, Sam?
Good, very good. So we were just about to get into it, but we'll start with, you had a show last night, which is not the usual at the moment. So why don't you tell us how that felt and how that went?
Well, it was kind of cool, man. It's been a while since we actually hit it, and the nerves were kind of, bubbling there. But I forgot a few lyrics. You know how it goes, man. Your own songs, you can get your own lyrics to your own songs. That's crazy. But for the most part, man, it went well, man. It was at Bud's studio, and Drew and Sam that work over there. Drew from Greyhounds have an amazing studio over there, man. So we got a chance to go over there and basically make it happen. But it was the weird thing that we thought we were doing a live Facebook, and Facebook didn't actually catch it. So it went live to YouTube. So I guess what happened is that I'm not sure if the connection was right, whatever, but I feel everything happens for a reason, man, So
Facebook. Yeah, man, Facebook. I've had a couple issues with being able to stream live on that format.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, it's the quality on Instagram is just flat out better. I think the Facebook doesn't sound like the issue you guys were having, but in general, it demands a higher upload speed to be as effective.
Yeah.
And it's like I see everybody, even if they have like a nice microphone and a nice thing, it seems like always on Facebook, the feed is just not as good. So
yeah, they didn't even pick it up. It didn't even recognize it. It's just
it's just totally blanked on it. Well, I got to watch you guys for about 3 or 4 songs. You sounded great. How was it? I mean, I can imagine, but it's like pretty much a practice. But how was it not performing for any people out there? Did it just were you getting a little bit of the vibe coming through the computer screens or something like that?
Yeah, it's weird because Sam, the engineer over there, man, between songs, he had some crowd noise, some applause or something like that, So it was kind of cool. Kind of like this whole basketball thing.
Yeah, just like the NBA. That's great.
Yeah. So it was kind of cool, but it is weird when you don't get that instant gratification after you play a song and it's just quiet after the song. So that's one thing that I know for a fact that all the musicians that are doing these live streams is great, but when you finish the song, you don't hear that instant gratification. And as musicians, especially if you've been doing it for a while, as a live musician, that is almost like food. So
especially with you guys, because it's such a bouncing off of energy from crowd to stage, crowd to stage, crowd to stage, and it just keeps getting hotter after every song. So it's not like I like to do my live streams I've done a bunch, but only acoustic. So, when you're doing an acoustic performance, you hear some applause and that's nice, but it's not the same as a soul or a rock and roll show where it's like just
bounce. It's a little weird.
Yeah.
It's a little weird, a lot weird actually.
So how's it been in general for you and the boys as well for the COVID situation? If I remember, you guys pretty much had an album drop right at the dawn of the virus outbreak. Is that right? Or right before it or right around there? So you guys probably had to unfortunately shut down what was going to be a probably pretty busy schedule like a lot of us
did. It was
did.
a really, really weird time for it to happen because we had just not too long came back from, actually our release was at Antone's, which was February the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to like about 4 other places to do like album releases. Like I think we did one in San Antonio, one in Dallas, one in Houston, and then we went down to I think New Orleans. Yeah, we did. We did. I'm not sure if it was actually labeled as an album release. But then we went back down to New Orleans and we played this festival that was down on this 14-acre alligator. It used to be an alligator farm, and out in the middle of nowhere, man. It was crazy. And it was funny because while we were out there, we pulled up the night before, and they had us in our RV and everything, man. And the owner of the festival was walking over talking to us, man, and we were like in sort of a group. And then he had to step away to answer a phone call. And he came back, and he was like, "Yo," he said, "You guys wouldn't imagine who that was on the phone." We're like, "Who was it?" He was like, "It was the governor of Louisiana." Yeah, and they were asking him how many people were at that festival. Because it was on a private property, so they couldn't actually drive on the private property and see how many. And he gave them like this bogus number, which was way off.
What? So when was that? Was that in March already?
It was in March already.
Wow.
It was already in March, and it's like March and I want to say March like mid-March, like
right when it was shutting down. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a pretty cool. It was a pretty cool show. I mean, you can bring your RVs out there. They had a stage outdoors. People are having a great time, and a bunch of Cajun. You really know that you're in. That you're in Louisiana when you hear, dialogue that you never heard before.
Right.
Like, okay, and you way out in the boonies, man. I'm talking about way out there.
Were there still alligators walking around when you guys?
Yeah, they were. Where the guys, I stayed in this one RV that was closest to the stage. The other guys in the band stayed on this boat house, like a boathouse. And so they would walk out on the deck and they would see alligators just swimming around in the water.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
They're wild, man. I mean, I was down in Florida once with my family, and we were going, I was probably like 11. My brother was like 8 or 7. And my brother was like, "We're not going to see any alligators, right?" Like, they're not, and then like the first day we're there, they're like just a bunch of them. And we're like, well, I guess we are going to see a lot of alligators, and they're all around. And it's scary, man. But they usually just mind their own business unless,
unless you approach them, and other than that, they don't bother you.
So how's the lockdown been for you, Tomar? What have you been doing to keep yourself busy and sane and all that stuff?
Well, the lockdown it's been pretty interesting, man. I didn't share this with anyone, on media-wise or even, social media-wise at all. But the tail end of June, I came down with COVID-19, and I actually came down with COVID, and
wow.
It was a heck of an experience, it was my wife, she came down with it too, so it was.
So how was that then? So you were in a battle. I mean, what you can share what you choose to share or not share at all, but that's intense, man.
Yeah, first time I'm sharing it. So, but got through it, and it was, I'm an asthmatic person, so and you hear some of the horrible stories of asthmatic that 4 days in they're out. I was just talking with someone last night, a director of mine. She helps the director. He's a filmmaker, and she lost her cousin actually 4 days in. Caught it 4 days in, out of there.
Oh my God!
So it's a thing that you don't know how it's going to attack your body or what it's going to do when it does attack your body. But for the most part, just got to make sure you eat right. Drink a lot of fluids, take your vitamins, and most important, stay away from people. So
absolutely,
good,
man. What was it? Would you consider it one of the more serious physical fights you'd had to deal with, or was your case not as bad, or was it real bad? Or
it was I can say this here. It was something that I know that I've never felt before. I've had pneumonia before last year before I went out on tour, and had many times caught the flu, and it don't feel anything like those two. I mean, it feels completely different. You could tell that you can honestly tell that your body never felt this before. And I hear most people, they think they had it. They will say, I think I had it. I think no, you won't think that you had it. You would know that you had it. And that's the difference. You will know that you had it. It's almost not saying, I think I broke my leg, you know, you will know you broke your leg, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like that. But the beautiful thing is that, you quarantine and you take all the necessary measures to get yourself better, rest, vitamins, like I said, eating right, and just keeping yourself in good spirits, because it definitely plays on the mental part of the brain. And it causes a lot of different not side effects, but a lot of different effects on the body.
Yeah.
That confusion sets in too.
Oh my goodness.
And,
so,
but other than that, man, I'm good. We got through it, and stronger than ever, man. So
excellent, man. So happy to hear that. And your kiddos were able to dodge a bullet there as well.
Yeah, they were.
So far, so good.
Healthy. Yeah,
good.
Pretty much healthy. Yeah.
Glad to hear it, man. So one thing, Tomar, I want to get into with you, because it's such you're the first person I've able to talk about this kind of thing with, and it's so interesting to me, is your history growing up as a musician, and your experience with the Chitlin circuit, and growing up in a family band, and how rich, or I don't even know what that must have been like. So I'm interested in getting to that. But are you from the Austin area originally?
Actually, not really. I was my family. We're born. I was born in Las Vegas, Nevada, and 3 of my siblings were born in Las Vegas, and the other 7 of us, so basically we're born in Arizona, Phoenix and Mesa, Arizona. Basically, we stayed in Las Vegas, and then we moved. My parents moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and basically from Phoenix, Arizona, we moved to Texas, and we kind of stayed in the central Texas area, like San Marcos, and we wound up moving all the way to Victoria, Texas. I'm not sure if you know Victoria, Texas.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And so we moved there, man, and my dad is a musician. He's a sax player and singer. My mom was a gospel singer. They had a family band. Growing up, they were called the Lambkin Five. They used to sing on gospel radio stations on Sunday mornings. They would travel, and her siblings did the exact same thing that we did.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then when she met my dad decided, they decided to let him in the group. So he became the bass man, singing gospel radio stations and stuff. My grandfather was actually sort of running it as well. And he would sing also. So it kind of started like that, man. So my dad, seeing that he had 4 sons that were younger than all the girls. He had 3 girls first and 4 boys. And so what he was trying to figure out is how we could keep us out of trouble. Pretty much how you can keep us out of trouble. And because there's a lot of trouble in the neighborhood, man. So,
okay.
So one time he got this income tax check, man, and he went to a pawn shop and just bought a bunch of crap. I'm not lying. When I say crap, to us it wasn't crap, it was golden, man. But he bought a bunch of, probably third or fourth hand-me-downs instruments, and stuffed them into the garage. And I'm talking about guitars, bass guitars, lead guitars, drums, man. And we just sort of went in there and just started fumbling around. And before you knew it, we would each learn how to play each different instrument, just because, it's there, instead of just sticking to the guitar, you're like, well, this day I'm going to play bass. This day I'm going to play drums. Because I started out as the drummer first. I was the drummer, and then I taught my brother how to play drums, because my dad wanted me to, and then I picked up the bass guitar, and I was playing bass for a while and singing. I did that for a while. And my other brothers was playing keys, and my baby brother was playing maracas. That's all he did.
Maracas, nice.
So basically, that's how that started. And then I started playing trumpet in the band as well. My dad was a tenor sax player, and we had this little jazz thing that we would do. My brother was on alto, my dad was on tenor, and I was on trumpet. We would actually write music. I was only, I think, sixth grade at the time. And so what would happen, I would go home, and my dad would write all this difficult, jazz riffs and stuff, and I would have to learn how to play it.
Wow.
We got to the point when I go back to school, we playing that da, 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 and I was like, man, that was boring as hell.
Yeah.
I was yeah, I want to get into that, man, but it was cool. Every once in a while, I go into the practice rooms at school, and I let loose. My band teacher walked in there one time. He said, "Williams, where the hell you learn how to play that?" I said, my pops said, "Yeah." So It was kind of cool, man. But
so
yeah,
you were into the real heady stuff at a real young age. I mean, obviously the soul and the gospel and stuff all comes through, but not the many times I've seen you live. That jazz stuff doesn't necessarily pop through in those performances, but that's a young age to get into that stuff.
Yeah, we weren't doing any soul music. We weren't doing any funk. It was all jazz at first. It was all jazz. I think the very first song that I learned how to play on the bass guitar was "Mr. Magic" by Grover Washington.
Uh-huh.
And my dad played the sax almost, it sounded just like Grover, man. I'm serious. He would hit all those notes, man.
Wow.
And we would go around and we started playing like that, And it was very, very, scary the first time we actually played in front of an audience. It's terrifying, but soon after, man, we started just getting excited about, rehearsing, because at first we weren't excited about rehearsing. My dad had to go out and find us.
Yeah.
Playing in the neighborhood with kids, sandlot, baseball, football. He'd ride around in the station wagon looking for us. And the kids were like, "Yo, man, your pops is coming, man." Your pops is, so we were running high behind some bushes and stuff. And he'll pull up and say, "Yo, have y'all seen my boys?" And man, they couldn't lie to my dad, man. They couldn't lie to him. So they
walk out from behind the bushes.
Yeah.
Oh man,
come on, man. Y'all could have lied to him. I'm not lying to your pops. Yeah, he was the man, yeah, I'm saying. But he wasn't Joe Jackson, but
yeah. So then you guys, now my familiarity with the Chitlin circuit is just through stories I hear about, the old days and stuff. What form of the Chitlin circuit were you guys on? I mean, were you guys going all over the South? Or is it more of a kind of Texas-based?
Texas-based.
Yeah.
I mean, because Texas is so huge, man. And the Chitlin circuit, once we actually felt as though that we got good enough, I mean, really, because, you think you're good until you actually play in front of a bunch of old folks that are drunk,
right?
That have no filter. They would, and so we started out in Victoria playing this one place called the 20 Grand, and it was a real juke joint. I'm gonna tell you, it was. When I mean, it's always that one drunk guy in the club that do not give a damn. He would just cuss you out, you know what I'm saying? And so we started there, just sort of hone my skills and totally understand how to. And back then, I didn't talk to the crowd. I didn't know what to say. I was only 11 years old, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
No understanding.
11. Holy
All I wanted to do was play, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
My brother on drums, he was like 7, you know what I'm saying? 7 or 8. And my baby brother, he was still in kindergarten or first grade, man. It was crazy. So, and my oldest brother, we were all in junior high and elementary, man. And we were playing nightclubs and making these grown folks try to believe what the hell we were doing on that stage was believable. And that was the hardest thing, to try to entertain grown drunk folks, man. I'm not, man, the grown drunk black folks. And they don't care. They don't care, man. They tell you straight up, man. But they were really cool with us, man, because I guess they seen that we were actually trying.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of started the Chitlin circuit there. Once we kind of got our confidence up, we started traveling around the state of Texas. And what I mean by the Chitlin circuit, where is that the whole term, and a lot of people don't really understand where that term comes from. I explained it to someone once before, and they were like, "Wow, I didn't even know that." The chilling circuit, and you probably already know, right? With the term.
I've heard it before, but I've forgotten, so it's good to get a refresher.
Yeah, the chilling circuit, way back in the day, back like, the 20s and 30s and 40s, these jazz musicians or blues musicians, and even the rock and roll musicians were trying to basically play their music. Well, they would go to these juke joints, and we call them hole in the wall. You know what I'm saying? One way in, one way out, and there was no back door. So if a fight broke out, everybody going through that one door. So basically, these groups were actually traveling around, and entertained. A lot of the times, the club owners didn't have money to pay these artists. But what they did have, they always had a kitchen in the back, and they always had something on the stove cooking. And more than likely back then, I've never eaten chitlins in my life before, so I don't know what the hell it tastes like. But more than likely, they would have a pot of chitlins cooking on the stove. So what these club owners would say, "Hey, we can't really pay you, only the tips, but if you want some chitlins, we can go ahead and make sure that you're nice and full onto your next gig,"
Wow.
And so the next place would do the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't make a lot of money, but at least they weren't starving,
So was this something you guys were doing like in the summer or on weekends, or were you just out of school altogether?
What we were doing on weekends, but the residency that we did, the very first one that we did actually was on a Wednesday night. So we'll be out, playing up to 2:00 in the morning, and had to be at school the next day, and it was not good, man. It was not good at all.
How old were you and your brothers when you were pulling that?
I was 11.
Oh my God.
I was 11 years old, 11, about to be 12. I was in the 6th grade, man, and my brother Kareem was like 13. My brother Ashak was 7. Salih was like 6 or 5. And
did you ever tell the teachers the truth that you're out till 2 a.m. playing at a nightclub?
The teachers thought I was joking, man. They did not
of course.
believe how. Yeah, right. You trying to, it's an excuse for falling asleep in class, But my friends believed me because they stayed in the neighborhood. They were like in the neighborhood, and so. But it was really cool to experience that at a young age, because basically, once we got over the fact that my dad had to come look for us to rehearse, I think one day he came home from work and he pulled up, and we were in the garage already rehearsing. Just slamming. And he walked in the garage, and he was like, "Oh," and he turned around and walked out. And he said to us later on in life that when I seen that you guys were in there playing by yourselves, he said, I knew my job was done. Like, I didn't have to force you guys. Because he said what he did say is that I seen that you guys had passion in your eyes. You had passion in what y'all were doing when I walked in. So I don't even really think that we realized that he came in, And once he walked out, we just kept on slamming, So that was the turning point in him actually sort of standing back and letting us sort of do it ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
One night it was funny because we were on the stage and my dad was playing with us because he used to play with us, his horn. And back then we were learning these songs like Prince, because Prince was big, the Michael Jackson stuff. This was like, I realized, man, 1981, 82, 83, all that pop music, MTV.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff going on back then, man. And so we were learning all that stuff, man, and we had to learn how to play it. But we didn't have all the proper synthesizers to get all those sounds, because the 80s was all about those sounds. And so we did the best we could to try to, replicate those sounds that we heard on MTV. And the people were really cool when they come out to the shows. They were like, okay, well, they don't have the actual sound, but it's close enough.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, so how many years, how long did that situation go on? I mean, at some point, did you burn out? I mean, was it all the
Well,
way through high school, adulthood? Was there some breaks in
all the
there?
way through high school. I mean, we played
Wow.
together all the way through high school.
Wow.
Graduated, we were still playing. We came to Austin, and how we migrated, we decided we moved to San Marcos, and we started playing around the San Marcos area. We played Cheatham Street. You
Mhm.
know, I'm not sure if Cheatham Street is still there, but then
Yeah, I was there a few years ago. I don't know if
Cheatham
it's,
Street.
yeah, I went when I first moved to Austin. I guess it's more than a few years ago. It's like 8 years ago. So I don't know if it's still there either. It's a kid. Yeah, but sorry,
It's
go
been a
ahead.
while. It
Yeah.
was the place. It was cool because there were a lot of bands from Austin that would actually come down there,
Mm-hmm.
and we were like, wow, that's kind of cool. These bands are coming from Austin, to come play in San Marcos, so we get a chance to kind of check them out, not inside, on the outside because we were too young.
Mm-hmm.
And but basically, in 1984, my dad somehow got a hold of someone that was at the TC Lounge, which is now the Sahara Lounge.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "Hey, want your sons to play?" I don't know how they got word that we were playing. So we came to Austin. We played at the TC Lounge. It looks exactly the same. I mean, to be honest with you, to go to the Sahara Lounge, I'm not joking, man. It's like nothing's changed in that place. And we're talking about 1984.
Wow.
1984, yeah.
And
And
was that like the soul kind of blues staple for a long
yeah,
time in
yeah,
Austin? Yeah.
that was a juke joint back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
TC's Lounge was like a juke joint, but it was
Okay.
in Austin, in the Hog Pen Click. You know what I'm saying? The Hog,
Yeah.
and that's what they call that, man. And so we would play, and I noticed back in the day, man, that's when the airport was not too far from there, and the planes would fly over while you're in the club. You can hear the the jet planes, commercial planes fly over the nightclub. It's kind of like a rattle place.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But we played there, and then we started playing some other things. But the one place that we played that we did not understand the magnitude of what we were doing, we got a call from somebody. This young lady named Jan Merkin. I'm not sure if she's still around. She was like a promoter or whatever. And she got word of there's these young guys, that's playing soul music, and booked us at Liberty Lunch. And Liberty Lunch, I mean, in Austin, Texas, Liberty Lunch was like the Stubbs it is right now.
Okay.
All the big people come through, because that's the first time I've ever seen Living Color. That band, they played at Liberty Lunch. So many famous groups would come through, Morris Day and the Time. Got a chance to open up for them at Liberty Lunch.
Wow.
But Liberty Lunch was like the grand place, man, to play in Austin, Texas. And we got a chance to play there. When we did that, man, one thing about what we did back then, we just didn't play our instruments. We also put a show on, meaning like dance steps. Because we come from the 80s. We had a break dance group back in the 80s.
Nice.
We used to break dance. My brothers, so one weekend we're doing breakdancing contests, and the next weekend we playing. So we incorporated all that into our show. And so when the people would come, it was all this energy on the stage. I mean, the energy was like through the roof. And so I guess at that time in Austin, we noticed that a lot of bands weren't putting on shows. We didn't know anything different. We just thought that whenever you do a gig or a show, you put on a show, and a theatrical show. I mean, like we were running all over the stage, it was one thing that we would do. We would switch instruments while we were actually playing.
Great. I love when people do. Yeah, I love when people do that.
Switch, and my brother John's was still going. We would switch. It was crazy, man. So, but that actually lasted up until the family band lasted. We changed the names. We played Steamboats. We played Antones. Back in 1987, we opened up for W.C. Clark.
Wow.
And the Fabulous T-Birds were hanging out there. Stevie Ray Vaughan was hanging out that night. And so we did a lot. And what we didn't know, Sam, we didn't know those places were the places to play. I mean, I was 16 years old, and so we were new to Austin. We thought that, well, we just playing this one spot. But then we would run into other musicians. They would say, hey, man, you guys, y'all doing Antones? And that's when it was on Guadalupe. We were like, yeah, you guys do Antones. How'd y'all get that? How did y'all get Liberty Lunch? Like, I don't know, man. Like, they called us, you know. I don't know. And so we didn't understand. We just wanted to play. We didn't care about the money.
Yeah.
It was all about the art, man.
Yeah, when you're starting that young and you get such a, you know, thrown in the fire thing as playing the places you're describing, that just forces you to not only maintain, but to continue to just build because you're playing for you're playing for your life out there with those wild crowds, man. So so how long when did that kind of start to reach its conclusion or peter off a little bit?
I say it sort of teetered off where that we weren't playing as a family band anymore. Around about, I would say, the 90s, like the early 90s, we decided to kind of scale back a little bit and started really recording and working on more, because we were always writing songs. I was writing, because one thing about Austin back then, when they would give you a show, they would actually tell you, you could play cover music, but you got to have a percentage of originals that you can play. If you do Liberty Lunch, you got to do a percentage, and even Antones, you know. So we were always into the writing, you know, and then we did the cover band thing. But around about the 90s, it kind of just, you know, we kind of just started getting into other bands. Like, never had a chance to play with other musicians, only with my brothers. Moved to Austin, the other cats like, yo, man, can you come jam with us? I'm like, do I have to ask my brothers? Like,
is that allowed? Yeah,
because all these years I've only played with these cats, man. And so it felt weird to actually go sit in with some other cats and play. And you can honestly tell that you were fashioned to only playing with certain cats all your life. And you hear this one cat playing this riff, like, damn, how do I match with that? Because you're used to only playing with your brothers, you know.
Right.
But that's cool because it actually started you to kind of venture off and actually grow into your musical craft and whatever instrument that you were playing. So still around about the 90s, early 90s, it kind of teetered off, but we were still coming together and do shows as a family, but it wasn't as much, you know. But then, like I say, the writing got very important. We ran into the situation with RCA Records. That word that we were writing, and that's when the Tony was kicking butt. And we were big fans of Tony. So RCA Records, there was this subsidiary company that actually was working out of Dallas with RCA Records, and they basically signed us, and they wanted us to compete with the Tony. So we were writing stuff at that magnitude, man.
Wow.
In the early 90s. And so basically we went to the studio, and it was right off of 5th Street. I can't recall the name of the studio, but it's like, you know, West 5th. And basically, man, we recorded almost an entire album. And one day we walked into the studio, and the engineer was like, yo, man, I can't let you guys record today because we haven't received payment from your record label. We're like, oh, sweet, that's no problem. We give him a call. So we gave the guy a call, and he went and answered his phone. Kept calling. Before you knew it, the phone was disconnected. Like, okay, what's going on, man? So we asked around, you know, some cats in Dallas that we knew. Hey, man, can you find this cat, man? Because so word got back to us that this guy took the last payment, one of the last payments to actually pay off our studio, you know, time from RCA Records, and he went and put a down payment on a home for his wife and him. And that was, you talking about all that hard work, man, and you're excited that it's about to happen, and then that happens, you know. So we just like, you know what, forget it, man. So things like that happens, you know. So many things like that happen in the industry with musicians all the time, you know. But when it happens to you the first time, it's not a good feeling, you know.
That sucks, man. That's just scumbag
Yeah.
material. Did you guys or anyone you know ever able to catch up with him and put that guy in his place, or did he just disappear and that was
Never
that?
disappeared, you know. And so
That was
what we
pre-internet days and pre anything, where
yeah,
it's a lot easier to disappear.
1992.
Yeah.
It was like 91, 92. And so what we decided to do, let's go get jobs and pay off the actual studio time and finish recording the album. And my dad was like, "Don't worry about it, sons. We got this. We got this." So that was cool because we rallied together, and I still got the album, man. And it's actually still on 2.5 inch, you know, the old school back tape. You know what I'm saying? Analog.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
but we
good.
never released it, man. I still got it. Actually, we talked about, you know, releasing it one of these days.
Do it, man.
Might be the perfect time.
Yeah, perfect time to do it. And you can get it out there better than ever before because you have a network of fans, and you got to put it on the internet and let it, you know, get out there.
My brothers and I talked about it. And if you love Tony, man, back then, it has that soul, that oh yeah, it was a great.
I totally remember. What was the biggest hit? I totally remember.
It feels good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Or it never rains in Southern California.
Oh yeah.
That's a big hit back.
I remember that. Well, I'm sure we could really go for a long time on some of these awesome Chitlin circuit and family things, and have to have you back here at some point and hear more stories. But I want to fast forward a little bit in terms of what I've seen you as, and the man I know you as, and the performer I know you as the lead singer of Tomar and the FCs. And kind of let's start with how that band got going, and I know most of your bandmates as well. And how did a seasoned Chitlin circuit, 30 years of experience guy get hooked up with these youngins who are my peers, and all you guys? I admire all you guys, and get such a good sound going. How'd that happen?
Well, basically, I was playing keys with my sister-in-law, Latasha Lee, and the Black Ties, and Salih. My brother was playing guitar, and also he was the actual producer of that project. There was this one cat that was playing horn, Nicholas Buklis, and one day, Latasha Lee and Salih was a little late coming to the rehearsal, and Nicholas only knew that I only sung backup. And that one particular day, I actually, you know, started singing during rehearsal. We were just messing around because they hadn't made it yet. And so Nick was in the room, and I grabbed the mic, and I was playing keys and singing. And Nick was looking at me like, "What the hell?" And so after the rehearsal, he was like, "Hey, man," he said, "I know I jam with some cats, man. We do like some meters, you know, and stuff, you know." He said, "But it's nothing serious. They come in and just be looking for a lead singer, man. And if you want to jam with this man, hey, just let me know." I said, "Yeah, I'll come by." So he sent me about 6 tunes to learn for the rehearsal. And I went home and I learned these songs. But I thought he was asking me to come in and sing and play. Because that's what I used to do for a while. I used to just have my Fender Rose and play. So I went and learned not only the vocals, you know, from these cover tunes, I've also learned the keys. So I went into the rehearsal hall, music lab, and when they closed down, and they were all in the room waiting for me because they got there a little early. But the keyboard player didn't show up. The guy with the cowboy hat, David, he didn't show up for rehearsal. I guess he thought it was one of those. Later I heard that it's just another lead singer that's not going to pan out. So I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not sure if it went like that, but I kind of heard it was like that. So I showed up with my keyboard. I'm setting up, and they were like, "What the hell are you bringing a keyboard in here?" I'm like, "I don't know nothing, man." I set it up, and y'all ready? And man, I'm not joking, man. We started hitting that stuff and started singing that stuff, man. And we go to another song, and then fast forward once we finished. Well, this never happened, man. I rehearsed in the music lab many times, but we walked out of the room to load out. There were people standing in the hallway. Like, wait a minute, man. Like, was that y'all? Who's that singing? And that's when I was like, okay. we might have something here. So I went home and I told my wife, I said, I think this might be it. So that's how the FCs was formed.
Well, that's a story that always sounds good. You hear about those kind of first jam magic stories. I think that's the way it went with Cream. And it doesn't surprise me about you guys, because you guys all have such strong roots in your own right. And then when it comes together, it's so easy. It comes together so easy. So you guys got to work right away, I assume, and it probably didn't take you guys long to start lining up some gigs with all the people you guys knew.
And I mean, right away. I mean, we didn't waste any time. I think within 2 weeks, I was already bringing songs, and we were already bringing songs to the table. And I think we were together only less than a month, and we got and this happened in like February, you know, and we played our very first show, South by Southwest, at Dogwood with Hector Ward.
Mm-hmm.
He put us on that show because Paul had a hookup with him through, I think, Roxy Roca, or Roxy.
Yep.
Or even the band that he played with. We played our very first show there, and we did the show. It was a packed house, man, go South by Southwest. He always has a great turnout, and it was an amazing performance. And when we got off the stage, I'm just saying it was amazing because for the first time jamming our first show together, people thought that we had been together like a couple of years. We were like, no, this is our first show. Wow. They were like, whoa, hold on, are you serious? This is your first show? We're like, yo, this is our very first show. Like, yeah, it was crazy, man. We did like about 8-9 songs, you know, about a 45-minute set. It was really cool. So
that must have been so fun. And then, so was that like 2015? Because I know your first album was in
2015,
16, right?
And then Heart Attack came out in 2016, but we put out an EP in 2015, which was Day by Day.
Mm-hmm.
So that July, we were in the studio writing, and we put together Day by Day, and that sort of like kind of, I would say, made a little noise to where that it made people sort of take us serious as you know, original artists, you know.
Right.
And soon after, in 2016, we released Heart Attack. So, and
I've heard of all that stuff. It's just great stuff. And then 2020, which is what we're in right now, you guys just put out the newest one. And I think that's kind of where we started this whole thing. And so back to the unfortunate situation at hand with the lockdown, did you guys have a lot of stuff planned for this, where we are right now, like the summer that was coming up and all that?
You know, like most bands, man, that just released a project, you know, the record label had, you know, Splice Records, they had some really good stuff in store for us. We had some things. We were actually about to go on a Midwest tour. And that just got completely you know, shut out, man. And we were talking about going overseas. I mean, it wasn't, you know, I wouldn't say, it was almost,
it's in the process. Yeah.
It was up in the air, but it was about to happen.
Yeah.
Overseas, because I mean, we do have a presence somewhere overseas, you know.
Yeah.
And but that happened. So yeah, it definitely, you know, I guess when you put out a brand new project and you have all these hopes and dreams of that project doing this, doing that, and then when you least expect or what you don't expect, you know, happens, and it can completely, you know, rearrange your whole life. You know, especially if music is what you do and only what you do, it can definitely be devastating. So.
Yeah, it's just a sucky situation. I mean,
yeah,
it's tricky now because the music industry in general is a constantly moving thing. People in different places, and the industry itself is always evolving. And now it's hit this completely unknown territory. In 100 years, no musicians have lived through a situation where the industry's, you know, 75% of it is literally ground to a halt, and we don't know how long it's going to last. So very tricky situation. Hopefully, I guess we're kind of in the end just waiting on a vaccine to kind of, you know, break things up a little bit and make the majority of people feel safer with all the traveling that's required. But we'll see, man. There's just no way to know.
I'm not taking that vaccine, brother.
Not taking it. Well, you have it now. I mean, you have the real vaccine, right?
Well, you know, when you do your research and a vaccine normally takes up to a couple of years to actually even just get close to.
Right.
And there's nothing that's perfect, but when you come up with a vaccine that in a couple of months or 3 months, and they want you to inject that in your body.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't add up.
I don't do flu shots anyway, so
Yeah.
I stopped doing flu shots a long time ago. And but the thing is that the last one I did, we had no choice to do it. But the thing is I don't inject anything that I just can't read and see what I'm injecting into my system, because ultimately, you know, it's your body is different from the next person. So, you know, you can't take the same thing that the next man takes. And that's what that freaks me out, is that how can they inject everybody with the exact same whatever it is? I'm not sure what's in those, you know, vaccines. But it's really weird to me that they think that everyone can actually, you know, get the same vaccine, you know, but because everybody can't eat the same thing. Some people are allergic to peanuts. I'm not, but everyone can eat peanuts. So why would you inject something that you're not sure if this person is allergic to it?
Yeah.
It's something that's in that vaccine. And that's why, you know, I feel as though, I'm going to say this, Sam, is that I became a vegan almost 3 years ago, and plant-based lifestyle. And I honestly believe that that is what saved my life. I'm being honest with you. I think that me taking care of my body and understanding what foods to eat and what not to eat, when I came down with it, it actually, I think it actually saved my life. And I'm gonna go down. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. You know?
Well, I mean, it adds up. And as you say, I've heard a lot of good things about veganism. I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian, but it's just about what's best for you and your body, and everyone's is different. And I think the situation, you know, a lot of people take it very seriously. A lot of people don't take it seriously at all, but ultimately people have to take optimal care of themselves. And, you know, because you never know what's coming down the pike, whether it's COVID or it's cancer or it's whatever, and you got to be ready to, your body's got to be in fight mode, because you don't know what's, so.
Man. Yeah. So what, I'm just kind of piggybacking off of what you said, piggybacking off of what you said about you're not sure where's it going to go. You know, I think, and I was saying this to my brother, I said, right now, what we should be doing as musicians right now is putting content out there. And what I mean, not just songs, but this is the perfect time to put visuals out there, videos, really good videos. So this is the time that you can actually concentrate on making a better product when it comes to doing videos. And what I mean by that is that sometimes when you turn on, you know, the internet and you're just watching these live feeds, you know, every Wednesday, every Thursday night, you know, blah, blah, blah. After a while, the brain starts to become immune to what you're actually seeing, you know, and it becomes not exciting anymore. So what I feel is, so what we should be doing is going above and beyond on the product that we actually giving our audience, fans, you know. We got to go above. We just can't give them the bare minimum, you know, because they're going to treat it like it's the bare minimum after a while. It's almost like eating the same food every single night.
Right.
You're going to go home, and one night you're not going to get excited about what you're about to eat because you know what it is. So I want to treat it exactly the same way. Is that we can't cut our fans short because we're short. You know what I'm saying? And if we have this time to chill and write music, then we also have that time to actually perfect a better product and put it out there for our fans, and not expect them to just eat it just because you're giving it to them. You got to give them something to eat, and you got to make it tasty. You got to, you know, sprinkle all the proper spices and necessary spices to make them gravitate to it, you know, because we cannot think just because we're musicians that we write a song that someone is going to buy it or like it. You got to dress it up, man. We can't, you know, like I said back in the day, we were doing shows. We were doing shows. We just didn't just play the music. We put on an entire show, and people gravitate to it. And so we definitely now, as musicians that are quarantining and trying to figure it out, you can still do your live feeds. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, that's cool. But every once in a while, you got to give them something to gravitate to. And I always say this, you got to get people to believe in something. If it's not believable, they're not going to buy into it. You got to make whatever you're trying to sell, you got to make it believable and make it exciting. And I know the attention span of the people now is like a 2-year-old, you know what I'm saying? Because of the social media, and there's so much now that's on the web that's floating around. So that goes to show you that now you got to be unique in your own right, you know what I'm saying? So this is the perfect time to dig deep and say, okay, what are the little things that I'm not doing that can be extra to the people that I'm trying to sell my music to? What are those things? Because I'm giving them the same thing every Thursday or every Wednesday. I got this live thing that I'm doing. And before you know it, you're going to start to see your numbers start to drop. How many people are logging in on your live shows? Mm-hmm. So what you got to do is be a little special. Because all musicians, we're all special. I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
We think we're a little special, man. And so use that to your advantage. Use that little special. You know what I'm talking about, man. We don't think right. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we're people can't understand how we're thinking, man. So utilize that and be creative and put it all in, man. Because I'm gonna tell you, if we go until 2022 looking like this, we definitely got to dig deep, you know, and video content needs to be more and more dead on now. The subjects matters has to really be dead on. So that is my take on musicians quarantining and trying to get trying not to lose their fan base. That's a scary thing when you start to see your fan base start to fall off. Scary, because some people are immune to coming to see you live and may not buy one CD. They just want to just see you live. So what do you do now? The ones that just love to see you live and had never bought a CD from you, what do you do now? Do you lose those fans? How do you gain them back? That's where we're.
Yeah, man, that's such an insightful take there. You just laid out there, Tomar, and a lot of it is stuff I've been literally working on the whole lockdown, and it's been great in that it's given me that opportunity to do that, because when you're in the middle of gigging and writing and just keep building it that way, which I think both of us were doing with our respective projects, and used to that kind of equation, you don't always have the time to create the content, and you don't, you do the best you can, but there's only so many hours in a day. And then when that 90% chunk or 80% chunk of what you're used to spending your time on is just taken away, you can sit and wait till that comes back and twiddle your thumbs, or you can get into some new shit. And just your take on not just content is important. That's one thing I've really picked up on a lot and started to really invest my time in is content and content. And when you're dealing with constant content, you're giving up some quality, because you have to have quantity. Quantity is so crucial these days. You have to have quantity, a lot of it. But as somebody who's really invested in quality, it can be a tough transition to make. So you're as I've kind of gone to quantity and trying to keep as much quality, and you have to find that middle ground. It really is, it's not just, okay, I'm giving up quality for quantity. I'm giving up quantity for quality. You got to keep pushing those two together to try to get them to their highest point.
Yeah, and that is true. My brother Stali and I, we were talking in HVAC, and what my dad always told us as we were kids, he said, son, he always said, son, don't you play on top of your brother. don't overplay on your brother. He said, it's it's not what you play, it's what you don't play. And I never understood that. He says, it's what you don't play makes it special. And what I'm gonna sort of transition that into where we're at right now is that how I'm gonna look at it is that quality and quantity. It's a weird thing because you can put a lot of quantity out there of stuff, but if you miss the quality, then the quantity doesn't matter to the people. I feel I'm just going on myself. So what I was talking to my brothers about, I said, what if you put one or two top quality things out there, just top quality that you really got fine tuned and you just bam, bam. I feel as though that quality will outlast or even sustain itself more so than the actual quantity. Because if you fine tune that quality, it's going to last. Just like one of those hits that goes for like a whole year and just plays the radio the whole year. And then that artist hadn't dropped another single. Just that first single was such quality. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with this here. I feel as though that if I would love to put a lot of quantity out there, but I think it's almost like, okay, you're a batter at, you're about to hit a ball that this pitcher is about to throw to you. And then all of a sudden, this pitcher throws 3 balls at you. You see 3 balls coming at you. You know what I'm saying? 3 balls coming at you. What you gonna do? You pretty much ain't gonna swing, right? You're gonna lick it, it's gonna freak you out. 3 balls are coming at you. But what if that 1 ball is coming at you? You have a better chance of hitting a home run or even getting a base hit, swinging at that 1. That 1 is that the one that you can concentrate on. But those 3 is too many coming at you, so you lose. You see what I'm saying? So
of course, the thing is, on the just to play devil's advocate a little bit, is when you invest, because what we're talking about is time, right? So it's the time between the quality and the quantity you get.
Quantity, yeah, that's the time.
It's all about the time you spend. And so when you get, I've done like, I've been obsessed with quality over quantity for most of my years. And the thing is, you invest so much time into less things. So when it's over, you have a little less energy to keep a consistent amount of quality. So I think there's, I don't think it's 50-50. I think you want to be like 60-40 quality at least.
It's like 70-30 to me. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm kind of the same way. But I'm just trying to put myself in the other side of the hemisphere, at least for a while, and just see how it goes. And you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, you said it, man. Because I love, man, Tomar and FCs, we were playing so much, man. We were playing a lot.
Yeah.
And to just come to a screeching halt to not play, it's like, so what do you do? You know what I'm saying? So what do you do right now? Right. And that's where we're at. Like, so videos are very important, man.
So is that what you guys are going to be spending a lot of your focus on?
Well, the thing is, we have a video coming out from a song. It's like a cartoon video, but it's
nice. Those are always fun.
Video, but it's like animated video. It's really good, man. It's Fine Time. It's coming out real soon, and so we're not able to get around one another and do a regular video. So you're trying to be creative.
Right.
This regular, instead of doing just a regular lyric video, you add something to it. So we had this person to come in and did. And I've seen a few of them that turned out really good, but this one actually turned out really good. It's an animated.
I love a good animated video. You guys were able to find an animated creator that wasn't too expensive? Because I know I've looked into it before. It's the ones I saw were quite expensive, very just way out of budget.
We located this one particular person, and I think it was through Paul or Andy, and they got the contacts. So if I can find the contacts, I definitely give you the contacts. And you see the work. When we release it, it looks really good, man. Really good.
No doubt. Yeah, I had to on my last single. I had to. I didn't have to, but I had to be creative. I couldn't go out and film. There was nothing I would have been able to do anyway that really would have made done work with the song itself. So I ended up pulling a bunch of black and white videos from the National Archives, all these weird videos. And the single itself is kind of a tongue-in-cheek weird song. I mean, it's a rock and roll song, but for some reason it just fit because it was real, like old school footage of like almost like American propaganda of certain things versus.
That's cool, man.
It was weird, but it was fun, man. I mean, it was fun to create it, and it was fun to. So yeah,
it's cool when you find those sites that are free where you can use that stuff, because they do have a lot of that free stuff out there that you can use. Then they have that stuff that you got to pay for, you know.
Yeah, and some of it you can't use it. It's too cheesy or too like corporate looking or whatever, you know.
That's cool. It worked for you, man, and that's the best thing about it. If it's working for you, that's golden, man. That's golden right there. Yeah.
Tomar, this has been so much fun, man. I really appreciate you joining me today, and
Thank you for having me, man.
My pleasure. And this is something I hope I can continue to do. I'm going to work hard to continue, and I'd love to have you back once the ball gets rolling a little bit more.
Man, I would love to be back, man, and keep rocking, brother.
You too, Tomar. I'm so glad you're feeling better, and your wife as well, and stay healthy, okay?
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Sam. God bless you, man.
You too, Tomar. Take care, buddy.